Alright, this is lesson 81, writing quadratic equations from roots. Students will write quadratic equations from roots. So remember, this whole time we've been doing like quadratic equations and we're finding the answers. How many answers do most of them have? Two answers, right? You following me right now? Okay. Today we're going to do what we've been doing but backwards. We're going to start from the answers and make the equation. Does that make sense? Yeah? So what's the opposite of factoring to break apart? What was the opposite? Multiplying, right? What's the opposite of factoring? Multiplying. What's the opposite of multiplying? Factoring. You got that? Okay, so today, since we already know how to get the answers, now we're going to work backwards. We're going to say, these are the answers. What's the original equation going to look like? Okay, so predict to your tell your neighbor and predict, how do you think we're going to find the equation? If we know how to factor, we're going to do undo factor, which means to what? Talk to your neighbor for a moment. Go. What's the opposite of factor? Tell your neighbor. What do you think we're going to do today? Okay. All right. Here are the steps for today. If you're watching the video online, please pause here, write these down. I'm going to move on right now. Okay, watch me do numbers 1 and 2. Write the quadratic equation from the information given. So let's say these are your answers, okay? Let's say they give you the answers. How do we figure out what the equation is? Okay, the first thing you need to do is write each of these as actual answers that you would have had. So remember, this is how we would write the answers, right? But how do we do this? We went backwards, right? X was equal to -1 and x was equal to 4. Right? If I were to think backwards, how did I find these answers? Well, I remember that I had to add 1 on both sides for this one. So it's going to be x plus 1 is equal to 0. And over here we're going to subtract 4 on both sides. So x minus 4 is equal to 0. And I remember this was, when I thought about this was the zero product property backwards. Remember this? So it's like saying x plus 1 times x minus 4 is equal to y. Right? And if I were to multiply this, remember, go x times x is x squared, x times -4 is -4x, 1 times x is x, 1 times -4 is -4, which is all equal to y. Therefore, our final answer is x squared. Combine these two, minus 3x minus 4 is all equal to y. Okay, and that's your answer. We're starting off with the answers and going backwards, right? Did y'all see that? Okay, so what did I just do? I took the answers, -1 and 4, and then I made it equal to x, right? And then I put everything to one side. X plus 1 is equal to 0. X minus 4 is equal to 0. And then I brought each of these binomials down, right? You see that? Equal to y, and then we got to the original one, right? Follow me? We're going backwards, right? Y'all see that? Right, because usually we started with this final equation and then we're going this way. And actually this last step, it's really, we're used to seeing it like, not like this, but with y starting there, right? Y is equal to x squared minus 3x minus 4 is equal, and that's it, yeah. Okay? You following me? Watch me do number 2 now. Looking at the graph, what are my two answers? Well, there's an answer here at -3. And there's an answer here at 1. So that means x must be equal to -3 and x is equal to 1, right? These are called my roots. Remember that? So now we're going to take these and set these equal to 0. So we have x minus 3. I'm sorry, x is equal to -3 and x is equal to 1. And I'm going backwards now, so I'm going to add 3 to both sides on this one. So I know x plus 3 is equal to 0. And over here I know that I'm going to subtract 1 on both sides. So x minus 1 is equal to 0. These are both binomials. So, I ran out of space over here. I'm going to put these up here. So it's x plus 3 times x minus 1 is all equal to y. Or actually, let's put y in the front this time. Therefore, y is equal to, we're going to multiply this out, x times x is x squared. X times -1 is -x. 3 times x is positive 3x. And positive 3 times -1 is -3. Therefore, y is equal to x squared plus 2x minus 3. And that's it. That's how you do number 2. Okay, that's the original equation for this. Any questions on numbers 1 or 2? Yes or no? Does it make sense? Okay, good. So why don't you turn your neighbor, today's Wednesday, let's have 1 sold to 2s about number 1, and then 2 sold 1s about number 2. Ready, set, go. Number 3. Let's do this one together. Shh. Okay, you're doing this one alongside with me. Here we go. Quiet. Number 3, you need to find what the roots are. Remember, the roots are where the graph crosses the x-axis. So this is a root here, and this is a root. So this first one here is x is equal to negative 4. That's the first one here. Second root, turn your neighbor, predicts what that one is. X, negative 2, good. So now we're going to write each of these underneath. We got x is equal to negative 2 and x is equal to negative 4. Doesn't matter what order, you could do them in a separate order. It doesn't matter. And remember, we're trying to get that negative 2. We want everything x plus something equal to 0. So we're going to add 2 to both sides because we want to do the opposite of minus 2. So we have x plus 2 is equal to 0. Sorry. And x, we're going to add 4 to both sides. X plus 4. I'm sorry. X plus 4 is equal to 0. So we have 2 separate factors now. Now we're going to do the opposite of what we did last time. We're going to take each of these. We're going to write 2 binomials, x plus 2, bring it down, and then x plus 4 is equal to 0. Right? Now we're going to multiply. Okay, good. So this x squared, what's x times 4? Good. What's 2 times x? Good. What's 2 times 4? 8, which is all equal to 0. Okay, bringing this up here. Combining like terms, x squared. What's 4x plus 2x down here? Plus 6x, okay. Plus 8 is equal to 0. And let's replace 0 with y. So we're going to say y is equal to x squared plus 6x plus 8 is all equal to 0. That's your answer. No, not equal to 0. Take that 0 out. Oh, I did that. Okay, that's number 3. Make sure you get that written down. Now this is a form of this quadratic equation, okay? Or this graph. This is a simple way to find a basic quadratic form of a graph with these y-intercepts. Okay? Let's do another one. Number 4. Turn to your neighbor. Decide what the roots are for this particular example. What are the roots here? Oh, yeah. Okay, what are the roots here, everyone? 0 and 2, okay. Let's see if we can start this one off. So x is equal to 0 and then x is equal to 2. Now let's look at x is equal to 0. Is there any numbers that I can move over to the other side? Yes or no? No, so let's leave that one alone. What about x is equal to 2? What should I do to both sides here? Subtract 2. So we're going to subtract 2 here and here. So x is equal to negative 2. And x is equal to 0. Now we're going to write, I'm sorry, x is not equal to negative 2. X minus 2 is equal to 0. Now watch what we're going to do carefully. We're going to take the x, bring it down, put it in its own parentheses, and then we're going to take x minus 2 and bring it down. Put it in its own parentheses. All equal to 0. Alright, what's x times x? X squared. Good. What's x times negative 2? Negative 2x. What should I replace 0 with? Y. And let's just put the y in the front for this case. Yeah, wasn't that easy? Okay. And this is the form of this equation, okay? This isn't always how you do it, but this is one method that is usually successful. You need to know how to do this for our Angry Birds performance test that's coming up, okay? So remember, performance task is all the stuff we learned and then you're applying it to a situation. Okay, next one, number 5, ready? So on numbers 3 and 4, we're looking at pictures, right, to get the roots. But sometimes it's really easy. Look at numbers 5 and 6. Do we have to look at a picture here? No. But this one's a little harder, right? We have a fraction. So remember before when we said we had a fraction, we had like two numbers. We had an X box with a number that was different. So check this out. If we have a fraction, just do what you did before. Got x is equal to negative 1/2 and x is equal to 5. Now check out what I'm going to do now. This negative in front of the 1/2, let's take out the negative sign in front of the 1/2. Look where I'm going to put the negative sign. I'm going to put it on top on the numerator, okay? Whenever I have a negative sign, always apply it to the numerator. Where do you apply the negative sign? Okay, good. So what's the opposite of dividing by 2 here? We're going to multiply by 2. So we got 2x is equal to negative 1. And then I'm going to add 1 to both sides. So we have 2x plus 1 is all equal to 0. That makes sense? Then we're going to do the same thing on the other one, just like before. Subtract 5 on both sides. So you get x minus 5 is equal to 0. Bring down to 2x plus 1. And the x minus 5, 2x plus 1 times the quantity of x minus 5 is all equal to 0. Now we're going to multiply like before. We have 2x times x. Good job. 2x squared. Exactly. Okay, what's 2x times negative 5?
10.
Nope. Negative 10x. Not the same thing. What's 1 times x? What, positive 1x, right? Or just x. What's 1 times negative 5? Negative 5. Okay? Let's change the 0 to a y. And let's combine like terms. What's negative 10x plus 1x? Negative 9x. So we have 2x squared minus 9x minus 5. And let's put the y in the front. We're all done. This is the equation for the line we just, for a line with these intercepts, okay? Or for a quadratic equation for these intercepts. Can you turn to your neighbor really quick before we do number 6? Explain, how do we change negative 1/2 to be one of the factors here? Explain how we move the negative sign and then how we multiply and add it. Ready, set, go. Okay, so the people who finished, most people got it correct if you finished. Others of you didn't get it. Look up here. This is what you need to do. You got x is equal to 6/7. And then x is equal to negative 3. Okay? So we're going to multiply both sides by 7 here first. So we have 7x is equal to 6. And then we're going to add 3 on both sides on the second one. So x plus 3 is equal to 0. Then we're on the second one, or on the first one, we're going to subtract 6 on both sides. So we got 7x minus 6 is equal to 0. And then we have x plus 3 is equal to 0. We're just going to bring that down. So now, since we have two numbers that are both equal to 0, we want to go backwards from the 0 product property, bring these down. So it's going to be 7x minus 6 times x plus 3 is all equal to 0. 7x times x is 7x squared. 7x times 3 is positive 21x. Negative 6 times x is negative 6x. Negative 6 times 3 is negative 18. All equal to 0, which changed to y now. Combining like terms, we're going to combine those two, which make 15x. And it's a positive 15x. So we're going to start with the y. Y is equal to 7x squared plus 15x minus 18. And that's it. That's your answer. Alright? Alright, so write that down if you got it wrong. That concludes the lesson.